platform to showcases or whatever. So don't feel like you just come to meetings and don't do anything. If you want to contribute in some way, talk to me and I'll be happy to find you a spot. Okay, so we're good to go?
Yeah.
All right, great. So research and cold emailing. This is probably going to be one of the biggest things that every TJ kid goes through, or every TJ kid who wants to be competitive at a top college or institution. And in resumes, this looks really good. Now, obviously, there's like pretty straightforward ways. We've all heard of ISEF. We've all done, well, freshmen haven't, but we've all done like a research project in freshman year. So you guys do know like the fundamentals of it and really the foundations. This is mainly through the processes of what it's going to look like for this club at least, and basically just BizFin research in general, because there's a lot of different topics. Okay, so why research is, that's the question. Why research? Now, from a purely objective standpoint, research looks great on your college applications, resume. It shows that you're competent and not some degenerate, pretty much. Naisha, I think you did research before. Anika, you've done research. I've also done research. Rashad has done research. I can't speak for the other officers. Alina, have you done research?
Yes.
Alina's done research. Research is a really big thing. Obviously, you have the whole senior research project, but that's not really that impactful. And the most important thing is that it forces you to learn something. And you learn a lot of things from it, from networking, cold emailing, social skills, all the way to the hard technical stuff. So research is pretty big. I think every kid should be in it at some point, and it really sets you up for college and your academic career. All right, so there's a lot of goals of research, but I wanted to sum it down into just, 5 points. If there's anything that's not on here that you think is important, chime in. First one is working with accredited professionals. Now, it can be either at like a company. I know MITRE, they do a lot of research programs there. Most of the government contracting firms have it, but really you're going to be looking for professors at universities. That's going to be your main goal, and I'll talk about that more, but PhD students as well. And the whole goal with this whole research thing that's not technical is to expand your academic network. So I can talk for myself. A bunch of the professors and staff that I've met, once I go into college and I'm looking for opportunities for myself, I know I can reach out for them and maybe get an opportunity. And I'm sure all the other seniors who have done it can also do that as well. So networking is also a big part of it. Now, in terms of the actual research project itself, publishing a paper is it's a big deal. Professors are literally getting paid at their institutions to publish papers. So if you can do that in high school, that's a great thing. And more or less, it's just creating content in general. Like I know some kids who did research, didn't publish it, but presented at a conference, and that still looks great for their resume. If you search up a professor's curriculum vitae, they will actually have workshops that they've hosted and presentations that they've posted on their website. So it's a really important thing, it's a real life thing, and hopefully we can harbor some of that stuff here. And yeah, the biggest thing is presenting with others. You want to show people that you're competent, you want to show people that you know what you're doing, and the best way to do it is through a research project or some sort of content that can demonstrate it. All right, next question, what does research look like? Well, a lot of things, and I'm not gonna lie, if I was sitting there, I would hate to hear that. But really, I guess on one part, if you look at it from the ISEF perspective, it can look like a solution or a product. Like you research a problem and then you develop a solution for it. That could be a research project. Another thing could be diving into like a deeper technical subject. If any of you guys are math or computer science kids, that's what basically half of math research is. Actually, probably 90% of half like math research is looking into something technical. And then the last point is like a persuasive argument. So doing research to promote something. So for example, we should know what ESG is by now if you've done the education. So persuasive research project would be looking into ESG metrics and finding causation between if ESG metrics actually promote, better company policies or whatever like that. So that could be one, and the list goes on and on and on. You can do your own research and find it on your own. That's on you entirely. All right, what can I research about? Like you can research about a lot of things, but I guess for this club, we want to focus on finance, business, economics, leadership, management, anything that a business school would do research on, right? And the main thing here is to be creative. And I will do, after this I'm gonna do a live demonstration of just the process itself and show you some examples of it actually working so you can see proof that this process does work. But the main thing is to be focused, right? If you're gonna do a research project on the US economy, no one's gonna care about that, right? You wanna go really in depth. Maybe from the US economy, you go into one sector. And then within that sector, one company. Then within that company, one like leadership staff. And then maybe you look into their leadership styles and how that's affected company policy and metrics, right? Focus is the most important thing, and you guys are 11th graders, right? Do you guys have Mr. Miller?
Yeah.
Focus. With focus comes depth. With depth, complexity. Exactly. So make sure your projects are focused. I'll make them 10 times better. And What?
He hasn't said it yet to that.
He hasn't said it to you yet? All right, well, you'll learn about it. Okay, so if you want to figure out a way to start, now everyone here should have an interest that's not in finance. Like if you're at TJ, you didn't come here to study finance, business, or whatever, right? So you should have something like an X component. So I would really focus on that to start. Now popular one is CS or math, so you can easily search up math, like the combination between math or business and computer science and math, or CS, or whatever combination. A popular one is biology and business, look in the healthcare market and stuff like that. That should be a good place to get you started, so you're combining your two interests into one. I'm trying to think. Oh, another popular one is operations research. Search that term up on your computer if you're interested in math and computer science. Operations research is literally like the term for business plus math plus CS. That's a great opportunity. I think a lot of TJ kids would enjoy that or would be interested in it. Another one is financial engineering is also good. But yeah, operations research and financial engineering. I think there's a Princeton program about it, which I'll search up later. Okay, finding opportunities. Cold emailing is the best way. Now, one thing I love about Machine Learning Club is that they give their members like the fastest track to like cold emailing. They teach them that, I'm pretty sure, within the first couple of months. And the best time to cold email is actually November and December. That's when professors have to sort of settle into their classes and they have a bit more free time to respond to emails and stuff like that. Now, before I even explain what cold emailing is or what it looks like, you need two things to be ready for this. And first, that's a track record of success. So we were working on projects earlier, right? You need to have some sort of portfolio that you can show that you're competent. You're not some like stupid kid, right? You need to show that you're ready for some sort of research position or helping professors out. That could be like from an internship, like a club position, which is what I was talking about earlier, or I don't know, like a job you had before, and then a polished resume. And you don't really need a polished resume entirely, but it helps to an extent. And with one of the examples I showed with myself, I'll show that. All right, good. Let's do a live demonstration. All right, so the first thing with cold emailing is finding your emails. So when I was a junior last year, I did this pretty late, by the way. I would recommend everyone do this their sophomore year or even freshman year if they can. I put together this email spreadsheet, and I found a bunch of professors who I really liked their work, who I really wanted to work with, and I just put it all on here. So, yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty generic, right? So, I don't know. Someone raise their hand and tell me university they're like. Harvard. All right, great. So, let's search up Harvard Business School Research. Faculty and research. Wow, how convenient, right? I don't know. Let's see. I like global entrepreneurship. So, basically, the whole goal here is to first find a database of emails that you want to email to, right? This can take, honestly, around 4 hours, whenever, right? So I've clicked on this first article. I found a publication. Looks like Frank Nagy is the head of, on this, assistant professor of business administration. Obviously, he's into research. Send email. All right, good. We have some sort of email submission here. Now, other universities, I think Princeton is really easy. They just have the email like right there. So I guess for Matt Nagel, let's go LinkedIn and find it. If you don't have a LinkedIn, I recommend making one. It makes it easier as well. So let's see if he has LinkedIn. All right, good. He does. So another method you could do is also message him on LinkedIn. Let's see if we're lucky. We get a email. No, but we get a website. All right, so maybe, see, it takes a while to do it because you're going to have to basically stalk this person, right? And, went back to his website. All right, so not the best example, but obviously there's a trial and error aspect. And that's just to the submission form. Let's try something else. Princeton, ORFE, faculty. Great, there's a bunch of them. Oh, what do you know? Their emails are here. All right, it looks like Princeton will probably be the better choice here. But yeah, so I searched them up. I don't have a lot of time here, but I would look into their research, what they've done. If it's something that fits my skill set, I'd go over to my email spreadsheet, add the university, add the professor, add the subject, add the email, maybe their website as well. And I got pretty lucky, but usually for most people, this takes around like 100 emails to send out. Now, I will tell you this strategy here. I promise you, no other TJ kid will tell you this. but email PhD students, right? I emailed so many professors, none of them got back to me. For the first PhD student I emailed, he got back to me, right? So now on to the next thing. What should the email look like? Now for PhD students, I guess it doesn't have to look that crazy, but it is very, very short. And by the way, there's so many resources on YouTube. I think that's the next slide as well. So search this up on your own time for more clarification. There's a bunch of great videos on YouTube. I was talking about the whole research in high school stuff as well. So if you want to read this email, I sent this when? I don't know. Last year, April 7th. So this was pretty late, right? I'm telling you to send it right now, your sophomore year. I sent this in the spring of my junior year. So to some extent, I was pretty lucky. Hey, Mr. Miller, my name is Ohm, and I'm a junior at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. A lot of people know what that school is, so spell it out. Don't say TJ. I came across your position with the Undergraduate Research Fellow Program at the Rodney L. White Center for Financial Research, which is a center at the Wharton School. I became interested in your work with asset processing and political economy. He has that on his website. I also saw your personal website that you frequently work with students on research initiatives. PhD students mentor undergraduate students, so I think that's why they're better to reach out to. But some schools have their own research programs, which have professors working with students. So do your own research on them. You'll find a bunch of cool opportunities, but you need an initiative to do that. And then this last thing was pretty specific. I was wondering if I could discuss with you the possibility of a research internship with yourself in the future. I would be more than willing to set up a Zoom call with you or meet in person. And I was there for a competition last year, so I was like, I'll be on campus then if you want to talk. Thank you for your time. Ohm Goal, name drop the school. Now I could have put my LinkedIn, but I honestly was just rushing through all of these. I was sending a bunch. So yeah, very short. And let's see. It took him 3 days to get back to me. So when I read this, I think I was going to bed at this point. Holy crap, I was so excited, right? All that spam mailing from like March to April paid off. It doesn't matter how many people reject you, you're just waiting for that one person to get back to you, right? That should be the mentality for it. And I haven't heard of anyone who emailed back saying no. So the worst thing I can do is ignore you, right? So all you're waiting for, you're emailing just to get that one person back. And you can also cold call as well. I was so desperate, I was calling professors at Princeton, and I guarantee you that lady probably heard my name at least 3 times, like the one who's like transferring calls. Do whatever it takes to get it, because honestly, once you get one, you're set. Hey Ohm, nice to meet you, and very cool that you're excited about this work. Unfortunately, I won't be around campus, April, whatever, but I'd love to set a Zoom call to chat. Can you do something next Monday? Wow, it's that easy. He was pretty helpful with it. Now, I got pretty lucky because this PhD student was graduating with like a guaranteed tenureship at HBS, so that's how I got the research internship there. But pretty much cold emailing works, and it's more quantity, but you want to make sure that quality is up there as well. So that's an example of it working. Now, let's say you've already done research and you're looking for opportunities to present, right? So another thing I did was I did this whole like math education project on the side, and one thing I found was a conference to present it at. So you can, as much as you can email like professors to work with them, you can also email venues to present your work there. Now, we're giving it easy to all of you because we're hosting our own conference. We've moved it to sometime in the second semester just to make sure the research projects are better by then. But you can do the same thing on your own time. This email is very similar. I talked about a couple of references that I got from a professor I was working with before. So you can read that if you want to, but just as you can do it with professors, you can also do it to get opportunities to present yourself. So, this guy got back to me in 2 days, which is pretty standard. And, just said, we'd love to have you as part of the conference. We emailed, we probably emailed at least like 20 people.
I think so,
Yeah, we emailed at least 20 conferences or whatever, and only one got back. Yeah.
Would you suggest attaching a resume?
Oh, if your resume is good enough. If you think your resume could help you, attach it. If it wouldn't help you, I wouldn't bother. But I think if you can bring up like one point, say like, oh, I've done research in here before. I've like worked with like computer science before. I've like throughout my time at TJ, I've researched a lot of kids. I mean, not researched, interviewed a lot of kids. That's kind of weird. I've interviewed a lot of people for competitions, and I think even for the club itself. And one thing that I haven't seen a lot of kids do here is have some sort of catalyst or have some sort of portfolio that I can see you've done work on, right? That's what I'm trying to give you guys with these presentations. That's what I'm gonna be working on for the next half of this club meeting. But if you have like, let's say you worked in like a CS lab or whatever like that, right? So in your data structures class, you had a free project and you applied the BST algorithm to like a stock metrics, right? You can say, I've worked with this before and you're doing similar work. I would love to expand on my research here, right? There's a lot more research project, there's a lot more content online that will help you with that. Look into it. I'm sure that will be very helpful as well. But yeah, as much as you can get opportunities, you also need to find opportunities to present your work. Because if you do a research project, even if you don't publish it, you still want to present it somewhere, like get some sort of acknowledgement for it, right? So that's the whole strategy there. But yeah, it's worked for me. It's worked for people up here. It's gonna work for you. You just need the grit and the mindset to do it, right? Okay, so enough with that live demonstration.
Wait, I just wanted to add on. So I was actually doing like cold emailing and it wasn't working for me. And mine was more like Matt CS type stuff. So another route you could take, which is what I did, is I had a lot of family members who did PhDs and things. So I reached out to them and I had like 4 or 5 people, like my parents connected me, and then I reached out to them and I said, could you hook me up with the professors you worked with when you were doing your PhD? So that's like another way. And it's easier to get in touch with PhD students, like I said.
There's a word for that. It's nepotism. Nepotism is the most important thing. If you have it, you better leverage it, okay? Like, if you have parents with crazy connections and you're not using them, what's the point of them then, right? Talk to your parents if they have any good connections. Talk to your siblings, cousins, whatever. Don't be closed-minded. Keep an open mind. And the worst thing you could do, like sometimes you could also like DM people on LinkedIn. Like especially right now since we're applying to colleges, I've like messaged people on LinkedIn for advice, and they're like, "Wow, no one's ever done that to me," and they've set up like a 40-minute call with me, right? Once you have that mindset, that outgoing mindset, so many opportunities come your way. So just keep that mindset throughout, and like Anika said, leverage your parents, leverage your connections, because if not, then what's the point of them, right? All right. So the big why is that I've said it so many times, but we've shifted this back to second semester. We are giving you guys an opportunity to present your work, right? And I'm not talking like trash work like what we saw last time with the whole global, like whatever the country stuff was. That was horrible. I want quality work, and I'm looking for 8 people to lead projects here, either by yourself or by group. We already have some people in a group chat. We're looking for 8 quality projects which we can mentor, and they can have first priority presenting it over here. I've talked to a bunch of people, well not a bunch, probably like 5 industry professionals, and we're highly interested in coming here and looking at projects here. AI Research Club does it, and Machine Learning Club does it, but no finance or business club at TJ does it, right? No finance or business club in the high school level does it. And we're trying to make the first one here, so hopefully you guys will be a big part of it. And by forcing yourself to work on a project for here, inherently you're forcing yourself to work on a project that you could apply to maybe another conference, whether that's like some MIT conference or some like business school conference, right? So yeah, I want to give TJHSST kids a priority here. I haven't gone public with this to the general TJ community, but once I do, I guarantee you some sweats at other clubs will be jumping on this like the first thing that they can, right? I guarantee you 3 ML kids will DM me about this the minute I post this on TJ Facebook, right? So I'm giving priority to 8 people at TJ Investment Club for like an allotted 10-minute presentation spot or 10-minute workshop, right? Okay, so that's the incentive. If you're interested, you should be. If you're not interested, I don't know why you're here. But yeah, most of this is pretty much what I said. You can read it. But the main thing you want to get away is that last sentence. You need the initiative, right? This is not for the weak-minded. You're not going to get people to respond to you. You're going to need to be sending emails in your free time. If you're not ready to grind towards it, then honestly, don't even try in the first place, right? You're going to be rejected a bunch. You're going to send like a bunch of DMs to LinkedIn. Hopefully no one texts you back with like a negative response. I haven't had that happen to me. I don't think anyone else has. You had that happen to you?
So, not exactly a negative response, but an important thing is make sure you're coordinated. Almost saying how he was like rushing through it.
Yeah.
And you've got to make sure you're not making mistakes, right? If you have like so many professors, having that spreadsheet is good. You don't want to be mixing people up. For the math thing that we were talking about, we were emailing a lot of conferences. I was getting so rushed into it. I emailed a conference whose like submission deadline was 2 months before, and they responded saying, "Sorry, we can't do this." Like it was just a general like negative connotation from the response. So you've got to make sure you're like coordinated with what you're doing.
Ooh, on that note, I guess the last thing I'll say is be annoying about it, right? I don't think there's any bridges that you could probably burn here, but for the conference that we were talking about, I emailed their PR person. They're like, "Oh, the submission deadline was like 3 days ago, or like 3 months ago." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. Can I have the contact for whoever's organizing it?" So she gave me the contact for whoever's organizing it. I emailed him. He said no, but here's the person who's directing the research paper. I emailed him and he said, "Great, we'd love to have you here," right? Be annoying about it. like if someone tells you no, try to find another way around it. Obviously, know the boundary limits, but if you want to get it done, I promise you will, right? If you want to get a research spot, you're gonna get it done, right? Just don't let anyone stop you through it, and keep an open mind. Be creative about how you get those opportunities as well.
Talk about the comment section.
Oh, that's a good idea. All right, so I don't know if you saw this, but I have somewhat of I wouldn't consider this stalking, but there's this great comment extension called Streak, which lets you see if someone has opened your email. Super helpful for the research process. I found out about this after I got an internship, but the free version lets you see if someone's opened your email or not. Super helpful. Highly recommend getting it if you're gonna do this. But yeah, quick plug. You don't need the pro version. All right. I guess any questions about that before we start giving feedback like one-on-one? No questions? There's gotta be at least a couple. Ideas, strategy.
What does sponsored by investment club look like? What does that entail?
We'll help you. We'll give you priority. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. So yeah, obviously I'm looking for the next generation of like top heads at like in the business finance community at TJ. I know I was part of that next generation. Anika was as well as like our class. So we had the seniors give us like one-on-one mentorships. I got on a call with someone at private equity with those seniors who like took me under their wing. So I'm looking for people who I can like do that to as well, who we can like give those first access to opportunities. So obviously if you're working on a project and it's looking good, if I've been in contact with this one graduate, I think from HBS, who's looking for a high school intern. And I was like, oh, that's great. Maybe I can recommend some TJ kits for that as well, for one of her consulting firms. So like if someone asks me for that, obviously whatever kids are gonna be grinding on investment projects, those are the first things that come to my mind. I know that second semester, once I get into college, I'm gonna be DMing a bunch of people in industry saying, how can I set myself up for success, 10 years down the line? I'd love to have a couple of those guys on the call with me, right? You have to start thinking about this. Like, I don't really care if you have fun during this time or whatever, but start thinking about that next step as well, right? Are you gonna set yourself up for the 10 years down the line? And it can start today, right? So I got mentored by seniors when I was a junior, sophomore, and a freshman. And this is just sort of a way for giving back. And whoever's doing cool projects, whoever's the first to come to my head, Anika's head, Nasha's head, Rishabh's head, that's obviously a good look. And then obviously sponsored by Investment Club, you get first priority at the conference. And I'm sure if you DM any one of us, we'll be more than happy to help you. Okay, any other questions? You got a question?
Is there a limitation to how many people can work in
I don't care, but whatever works for you, right?
10 people standing up there is just like unprofessional.
All right, if it works with 10 people, like it works. But I'm not gonna lie. Like if you're gonna be working on a professor one-on-one, it's best if you do it by yourself. If you're gonna do like a group project, 2 to 4, fine. Test the waters yourself. Like I don't know. I've only done projects by myself and with a group of 3.
Know your project. Like if your project is something that like you should only be adding people to your group if you feel that adding a person to a group will make your project more efficient. There's no need to just add people.
It's not a competition, so there's no real strategy to it, I would say. But yeah, if let's say you're a finance guy and you don't know anything about CS and you want to do a CS project, maybe getting your friend who's like a CS god would be very helpful. Okay, any other questions? All right, cool. Well, I guess for the rest of this meeting, if you're not going to be coming up for a one-on-one feedback, I would say start brainstorming research ideas. Do exactly what I did. Maybe do that CS, the finance, business, or whatever, plus X thing is pretty helpful. Start looking at university professors, sort of get into that mindset, and I'm sure by the time December rolls around, you'll have someone to work with, right? Don't forget about George Mason as well. George Mason is a great school. I'm sure you can get good internships there as well. So don't only go for the top schools. Just like applying to college, you want to have your safety professors as well. There's probably some random schools like University of Lynchburg who you could probably find people to work with.
And sometimes it's easier to get published at those smaller schools, and getting a published paper is getting a published paper. So
Yeah, it is what it is.
there's no benefit.
All right, so I guess we're gonna cut it there. Some people have already sent me their submissions, but if you haven't yet and you want feedback, which you want feedback, all right? Last time what I saw was hot garbage, right? If you're presenting, I want you to give feedback, and we'll have those people who got feedback go first, okay? That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, DM any one of us. We'll be more than happy to help. And if you decided you want to do a project, DM me and I'll add you to the group chat, okay? All right, good. Well, with that, I'll call some names up. All right, Amog, are you here? Come up. Armand, you also come up. Good. I'm not gonna present in front of everyone. All right, work. And if you have a presentation for next week, come up as well.
We'll go back to 7.